Hey guys, what's going on? I wanted to do a quick pre-intro to my intro. I got a chance to shoot a podcast yesterday with Longhorn Paranormal. And I got to tell you, it was interesting. We did it late last night. It worked out really good. But before we start the episode today, since these guys have their own show, I wanted to go ahead and just put up front the intro to their show. So check this out. It runs about a minute, minute and a half. And then we'll roll our own footage and you can enjoy our podcast. So thanks again for watching. I think you're going to like this. This was a great podcast. And if you haven't had a chance to check their show out yet, that information will be in the podcast. So see you then and check it out.
Quiet on set. Picture is up. All right, roll sound.
Rolling.
Roll cameras.
Cams rolling.
And 3, 2.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Guess what? We're back in again. Got Mark Hogan on my left.
I am here.
Are you really?
Yep.
Hey, you look good too. I like that shirt.
This
It's
is my
decent.
fake leather shirt. I couldn't wait for it to cool off.
Leather?
No, it ain't that. It's
Okay.
like a suede kind of thing.
I like it.
Suave and suede. Please
Okay.
continue.
All right. And so today we have in the tank with us Longhorn Paranormal featuring Jennifer Stoller,
What's up?
Stephen Johnson,
Hello.
and Kim Red.
Howdy, y'all.
And so are you guys the whole team?
Yes and no. We actually have about 20 people who work for Longhorn Paranormal to support us, but we are the face of the brand.
Wow. 20?
20.
That's well, yeah, but y'all have a TV show, right?
Yeah, so we actually
Yeah.
have a TV show, then we have a private client department, then we have a second brand. Do you know what Grunt Style is? Very much so like Grunt Style. It's a
Yeah, I
apparel
think so.
Patriot apparel company.
Yeah.
And then we also have some non-for-profit initiatives with like veterans and things we do. So a lot of things going on.
Y'all are busy.
So
Very.
founding members?
Yes.
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 And how
Yes.
long have you been ghost busting?
I've been doing this for about 20 years. I brought them on a couple years back.
Wow.
So I took an organization that I had started when I was 17 and rebranded it as Longhorn Paranormal with them on board.
Well, that's cool. Have you had anybody refer to them as boogers yet?
As what?
Boogers.
Boogers?
Boogers? No.
As in, like
Come on, seriously.
boogeyman?
That's a country term. You know, boogers.
I've never heard that before.
No.
I'm going to use that in my next episode.
Yeah.
Sure it's not boo.
Let's go find
is.
some boogers.
Boo or
Look,
once you
I'll-
say boo.
I'll use it in a sentence.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay? And I got to put on my country facade to use it. I was back there in the barn, you know, over by the pasture, and I looked up and I seen a booger. Elsie seen it too. It scared the milk out of her.
There it was, booger.
Right, it's a booger. I mean, that's
I've never heard that.
really.
Am I on Punk'd right now? Where's Ashton Kutcher and Jeff Foxworthy?
You just ain't been around enough country people.
Oh,
They
yeah.
call them buggers, believe me.
Paranormal redneck word of the day.
That's it. I think it's a redneck scientific phrase.
I'll put that on Instagram later.
All right, so do y'all specialize in any particular type of paranormal investigation? You do it all, or what's the deal?
So, We do the TV stuff, but what we do is very unique from the other TV shows that are out there. And it's a long drawn out thing, but we've walked away from a lot of networks, both politically and personally, but also for professional reasons. But our bread and butter when it comes to the actual paranormal quote unquote investigations is private clients. And we only take worst case scenario kind of stuff. Our team is known all over the world. We've helped people in Mexico. We've had private clients in other countries. I recently worked with a guy from the UK with some stuff. So, but when it comes to our actual physical investigations that we're doing behind closed doors, we do not take the stuff of, hey, I saw an orb in my living room. Those are not the kind of calls we're taking. Yeah, boogers.
Yeah.
The last private client case we worked took 11 days, and 3 different people were possessed. And when I say possessed, I mean demonic possession.
So it's malevolent, demonic type stuff that y'all handle.
Yeah, so malevolent and demonic are actually 2 different things, but yes, very much so. Those are the 2 categories that we take. We only take worst case scenarios.
So malevolent's angry spirits, I guess, right? And then demonic are, of course, demons.
Yeah. So, and I kind of categorize this for people. Just like in life, you have people that are really nice, and then you have people that are just nasty, evil people. Hey, there you go. Malevolent.
I thought you was pointing at me for a second.
But yeah, so, your malevolent stuff is going to be the things flying off the walls, voices, black shadows, trying to scare kids out of the house, that kind of stuff. Your more malevolent stuff, your demonic stuff is a totally different category and happens in a totally different way.
Okay.
So you have a possessed individual. Do you outsource that to the nearest priest, or do you handle that?
It depends on the case. So we have in on our team, we have a in-house demonologist. I'm also studying demonology and Kim is learning it. But we, depending on the case, we can either bring in our demonologist, Leon Wilkes, or we bring in somebody from the Catholic Church. So every situation's a little different.
So how do you become a demonologist?
The College of Demonology. It's important.
Not quite.
Do you?
Wake up with a piece of paper one day. So you have to be ordained through the church. You have to study it first. You have to intern under someone. So the only quote unquote self-ordained demonologist in history was Ed Warren, and he was kind of the pioneer of demonology.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's who the Conjuring movies are actually made after.
Right.
But in today's day and age, most of your folks are going to be ordained through the Catholic Church. They've had experience working those kinds of cases, and then they go and they get the blessing of the church to do that.
So there's no other denomination besides Catholics that handle this kind of stuff, right?
No. So there's many religions that believe, so like in the Middle East and the Arab cultures, it's referred to as jinn.
Okay.
They believe in a form of demonology. But what?
Oh, you're moving your hands and making noise.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
So in the Middle East, Arab culture, they have jinn, which is their form of what they believe to be demonology or demon belief or possession, things like that. So different cultures do have it. The only one that fundamentally doesn't have a true basis is the Jewish faith, right? They don't believe that, Jesus died on a cross, right? That he was the savior of man. They kind of struggle with this idea of hell, right? Or possibly demonic possession. But there are other cultures around the world that do have some basis and belief of good versus evil, demons versus angels kind of belief. So
how'd you get into this thing? I mean, so what happened? Did you have an experience and you decided, hey, I've got to look into this farther, and it just became a big component of your life? Or
so I actually I grew up in foster care. I lived in 34 different foster homes.
Wow.
I actually wrote a book that was published last year. It took me 3 years to write it. It was a very difficult time for me. But I went through my past and I wrote about my experiences. I saw some of the worst things as a kid you can possibly see.
So what book is it? Let's plug it.
It's called Fostering Gray by Jennifer Stoller. So Fostering Gray is all about they talk about when you have traumatic experiences, you tend to see things in black and white versus the gray of a situation. Trauma response, right?
Sure.
Everything's black, everything's white.
Makes sense.
So it's fostering, i.e. being in foster care, gray in my life, that not so black, not so white.
Okay. Is it available on Amazon or
Amazon Kindle, my website, longhornparanormal.com, longhornmerch.shop. And then also it's available on the Amazon bookstore.
Cool. Okay.
So
I like
those
books.
3 locations right
Yeah,
now.
I'll be grabbing
Foster
a
and Gray.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab a copy of that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it's 168 pages. Took me 3 years to write, and
Okay.
it kind of talks about those traumatic experiences I had as a kid, from being locked in closets and basements, very heavily abused. I don't know if you ever read the book A Child Called It. Was made by another gentleman who had a very traumatic childhood. But I had from a very early age, I had a very deep understanding that there was very good in the world and very bad in the world. And as I grew up, there were kind of 3 things that I clung to. One was the local airport, which made the airport start wondering if I was homeless. I spent a lot of time in Schaumburg, Illinois, at the local regional airport, watching planes take off and land all day long. I love to fly. Unfortunately, with these, I'm not allowed to fly.
Cool,
Otherwise,
yeah.
I'd have a pilot's license.
Right.
But I spent a lot of time in flight simulators. Those are my guitars. I do flight simulators. I can spend hours flying all over the world. The second thing was the library. One thing I stuck to was school books. I was the kid that did the math problems in the back of the book because it was a safe place for me. So I started going to the local library and just picking up any book I could get my hands on. That did 2 things for me. One, it gave me an IQ of 156, and 2, it opened my eyes to the world of witchcraft, demonology, voodoo, right? You have books on all this stuff. So I started learning and I went, wow, this makes sense. There really is evil out there that is explainable. And so at 15, 16 years old, I started to learn about that. I started to understand these different cultures and types of spirituality and types of hauntings. And so it just so happened that the world came into place, and I connected with a friend in school who was going into the military just like myself, named Doug. And so Doug and I went out and started ghost hunting in the middle of nowhere, Illinois. We found this place called Manteno State Hospital, big 40-building sprawling mental health facility from the early 1900s. And so one Friday night, Doug's like, hey, let's go check this place out. And that was kind of the birth of paranormal or ghost hunting for me.
Wow.
It all just kind of came together.
So not really an experience, just education.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm still stuck on 34 foster homes.
Yep.
From baby to 18. That's like 3 a year.
So, the story that I was told is my mom was a volunteer firefighter and flight medic. Apparently, before I was born, she had an injury that she had sustained with the fire department. Like many, she was left high and dry on her benefits. She had already struggled with some issues of mental health and PTSD from both her childhood and from her job. And this turned into some full-blown psychosis for her. On top of trying to deal with her newfound pain from her job-related injuries, she became a drug addict. So when I was born, that was kind of already in full swing. I do remember a couple times she was still with a volunteer to fire department on and off until I was like 3. I remember sleeping under dispatch desks. By the way, I'm also a volunteer firefighter. I'm not currently with the department, but I do volunteer. Not this year, but in the past couple of years, I've been with Texas Search and Rescue. So I remember sleeping under dispatch desk, and then things slowly started to fall apart. And as I got a little older, the abuse got worse. And around 4, I went to stay with my grandparents for a very short amount of time. And then I bounced in and out of a couple foster homes, back to my mom, then back to foster homes, then back to my mom. And then when I was 11, my mom walked into a Walmart and shot 4 people. She was an original mass shooter. So police shot her 22 times.
Really?
True story. So my mom was an active shooter. And now I'm an avid open carry advocate, as well as I am actually a FEMA certified instructor for Stop the Bleed, as well as active shooter response. I teach those classes and how people should respond to those situations. So.
Wow.
This is the first time I've been speechless. You know?
I think it is.
54
I've known him
shows.
42 years, and this is the first time he's ever been speechless.
She is addicted to saving lives.
Yeah.
We
Right.
do it all the time.
I actually put out a fire on I-10 earlier this week.
Yeah.
Car was in flames on the interstate. I called the fire department, put out a fire with a fire extinguisher. True story, car fire on I-10. I put it
Pull
out.
the
this
lady
week.
out, make sure she's safe, and we're
Right.
like,
And the fire department showed up and they were a little...
They were a little butthurt that I did their job for.
Yeah, I'm sure they were.
Well, I'm sure
They're
the
all
the person in the car was okay with it.
Yeah, oh
positive,
yeah. I'm like hollering at this lady to get out of my truck, and I'm grabbing my fire extinguisher. I see fire extinguisher on the back seat of my truck, and I'm running up, I got trucks, big trucks, laying on the air horn at me going down I-10, and as I'm in the right lane of traffic with my flashlight strobing them out.
I saw a car on fire from a company lunchroom, big windows, and me and my buddy sitting there eating, and there was just somebody off the freeway had pulled over on the feeder road, and it was a young girl, and smoke coming from under her hood. She opened the hood, and it flamed up, and we're like, we got to do something. So three of us jumped up. Everybody else is going, oh my God, there's a car on fire. We jumped up and grabbed a fire extinguisher right out of the lunchroom and ran over there. It was about 75 yards, and I ran all the way over there. By the time I got there, I could barely pull a pin. I said, here, do something. So we put the fire out, and we proceeded to get in trouble when we came back. This is at the BP complex. And they were like, you haven't had the certification on fire extinguisher, and you shouldn't be putting yourself in. What if it had exploded? Typical oil company
Right.
Yeah.
bullshit,
Yeah.
So, but
use company resources to put out a fire that wasn't on company property.
fire extinguisher is hanging right there. It's pretty simple.
And we're not going to need you anymore.
They didn't say that.
Oh, Lord.
All right, Kim, so it's your turn. So did you have a paranormal experience as a youth?
No.
What?
Steven's actually my brother.
Yeah, I need one of those
And
levers that makes the chair
little-
go back. Yeah.
Little known fact, Jen and Steven and I were all born in Rockford, Illinois,
Okay.
which is kind of the armpit of
Small,
America.
Midwest.
small Midwest town, and
but many years apart. And Jen and I have been best friends for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years now. It's been a while. Long time. And we've had a lot of things happen, and moved her to Texas from Naperville, Illinois, which is where we met. And well, let's say this. It's been a little crazy with the pandemic, right?
Yeah, that's
Slightly. So in 2019, it was a really crazy year for me. I went to 13 different wakes, and just so sad. So many suicides,
for sure. Right.
ODs, even a 3-month-old baby that had a heart attack. I mean, it was just everything. So all of a sudden in December of 2019, my dad calls me. My dad doesn't call me unless somebody's died. And first thing he says is like, no one's died, but your mom's in the hospital. So I get up, and she gets in her car in Texas, starts driving to, we were in Casa Grande, Arizona, is where my dad and mom lived. And I hopped on an airplane at 4:30 in the morning the next morning to get there. And my mom's in a nursing home now, but 2 weeks, a week into January, the day after we moved my mom into a nursing home, my dad passed away. He had been in the hospital only 2 weeks. From
COVID or
no? Okay. Well,
We don't know for
let's
sure.
just say it was before COVID was a thing. So
it was
Okay.
before COVID was a thing. Yeah.
Okay.
He died of sepsis and pneumonia.
Well, COVID was a thing before COVID was a thing.
Exactly. So he may or may not have died of actual COVID.
Sounds like a song. Sorry, but it does.
I wrote a song.
Sounds
Yeah.
like a pandemic.
Yeah. So when I was home doing the memorial for my dad, I felt his hand on my shoulder. And I knew it was him. And it didn't scare me or anything. I just knew it was him. But I hadn't had any of the prior experiences. So before I even got home for the memorial, because that was like a month after he passed away, Jen and I are in Arizona and my phone's blowing up and I'm doing all the stuff for the funeral and cremation and all that. And she's like, you know what? You need a break. You're leaving your phone here and I'm taking you on a road trip.
I did what I did best. I took my best friend to a haunted place.
Yeah.
So,
That'll
so
cheer
she
anybody up.
drove me to Jerome, Arizona. And we walk into the lobby of the Jerome Grand Hotel.
Shameless plug, JeromeGrandHotel.net.
General manager, Sarah Moser.
One of our best friends.
So we walk into this lobby, and it's not a grandiose lobby when you think of hotel lobbies,
Right.
but the vibe in there that I got was so overwhelming that I'm like, we're staying here tonight. We didn't have clothes, toothbrushes, anything with us. I'm like,
Yeah.
we're staying here tonight. And so we hung out the town during the day and stuff, and then we booked a room for the night. And they were doing renovation on the 4th floor. So we got to play on the 4th floor all night. So we stayed up all night, and all we had was Jen's phone. And she had an app on it called an Ovulus. Okay, the Ovulus app, and it's basically a dictionary of 9,000 words that spirits can use to pull out of like the white noise. And it
Okay.
has like a gauge of like if it's about to change, it'll like turn red and like the lines will get real high. Anyway, so we're sitting on the floor in this hallway of the hotel, and I've got my rosaries around my wrist. I was confirmed in Catholicism in 2014.
Okay.
And so I'm a devout Catholic, and so I got my rosaries with me because I don't know what's going to happen, right? We're at the most haunted hotel. I don't know if it's in America or just in Arizona, but definitely one of the most haunted hotels. So we're sitting there on the floor, and Jen's asking it questions and stuff because I don't really know what to do. And I'm like looking in every door and drawer and everything. And she's like, stop, settle down. You're going to disturb the spirits, like not make them want to communicate. So anyway, we're sitting there, and all of a sudden this word comes up. And it's like one of those $10 words that's got 5 syllables in it, and it began with the letter O, and neither of us knew what it was. So there happened to be in the bookshelf in the hallway this huge ass unabridged dictionary.
Okay.
And looked up the word, and it said a Catholic person praying on rosaries. I shit you not.
And she's sitting there holding her rosaries in her hand praying.
Right.
And
You
I'm like,
just can't make that up.
wow. It was, so at that point, I was hooked. Like,
Yeah.
this is it. And then there was the pandemic. And my brother, we helped him move down. He had just gotten a divorce. So we moved him down from Chicago to Casa Grande in our house since my dad was deceased and my mom was moved into a nursing home. So then we were stuck together, just the 3 of us. So what better to do during a pandemic when everything is closed? Let's go to the Casa Grande Haunted Mountains. And we didn't know what we're doing. We're like playing with the idea of a show, and
We'd gone through Netflix and Amazon like everybody else, and was like,
we looked at everything and was like, I don't like what they do.
We can do better.
Yeah, we can do better. So we did more like studying on the history of the different locations beforehand. If there were people to interview, we would do those interviews beforehand as well.
Right.
So we go out to the Casa Grande Mountains, and there's just nothing out there, right? We had a sheriff like at the entrance to make sure nobody bothered us, high school kids or anything like that. But we
Yeah,
go
we'll
out
help,
there.
We'll help you out. We're going to be a quarter mile down the road.
Yeah.
Nowhere near the mountain because that's about as close as we get.
Yeah. So they.
This is
so
the
we're
part
out
where
there.
you say 11,000 Native Americans disappeared off the Casa Grande Mountain. And I say again, disappeared. Nobody
Vanished.
knows what happened to them.
11,000.
Yeah.
A whole nation.
Vanished.
Vanished.
A whole nation.
20,000 years ago.
20,000 years ago? That's a long time.
They just disappeared, though. You know, we're talking about historians and, you know, all these folks who their sole job is to track the history of these things, especially in Arizona. You have large amounts of native cultures.
Mm-hmm.
They literally do not know what happened to this entire culture of
So
people.
they can see evidence of their civilization and what they did and layers of existence that just goes away.
Kind of like
They
the
built-
Mayans.
Gone.
Yeah, they built
The
one of
buildings, the people, everything just gone.
They have one structure. It's about 4 stories tall.
That's it.
That was made in Casa Grande. That is nothing else like it. And it's still standing today. And they can't explain really, besides who they know who built it. But there's nothing else like it. And it's
20,000 years?
Yeah,
previous?
that's
20,000.
20.
They're able to trace the histories of all these other Indian and Native cultures.
Yeah, like the Mayans.
This
yeah.
is the only one that they just don't know. They literally just
They
vanished.
started
We
about
don't know.
here. And after here, we don't know what happened to them. They don't know if they moved
Like were they
somewhere else.
abducted by aliens? Who knows?
So there's all these stories about hauntings around the
Black mist.
yeah,
Black
black mists and just
shadows.
weird things, shadows, mists, light anomalies. So we go out there. It's just the 3 of us and nature and snakes
And
whatnot.
scorpions.
Scorpions and whatnot. So anyway, we go out there with like a couple cell phone cameras and a little bit of equipment, and I man the nerve center. I like to call it the nerd center. So I sit in the nerd center and like watch all the TVs. But at
We
that
weren't-
point,
we
it was
weren't
just
as
sitting
cool yet.
outside. It
Yeah,
was
we
like-
were still working out of the bed of a truck at that point.
Yeah, so I was like sitting at a card table in the middle of a desert at night in pitch dark. So
It had cooled down to about 106. So
yeah, it wasn't.
At least it was comfortable.
This was March. Come on, it wasn't that hot yet. So I'm sitting there. They're off down the road exploring, and there's I can see like the quiet cameras, but I don't have any audio or anything with it. And there was a cell phone camera pointed at this big tree, kind of behind me to my right, and I'm sitting there and I see this huge black mist, and it's probably like 12 feet high at least, and I see it cover the tree like opaque and go back and forth and back and forth, and I'm like, guys. So they come back, and the cell phone that was taping it only caught one pass of the
Black mass.
mist, and then the phone stopped recording.
completely died.
Completely died.
Yeah.
Like we had our hard reset it, factory reset it. It's
Yeah.
like something messed with it.
So it's like, okay, this is real.
Yeah.
Because I'd heard about the black mist, but it was like,
And that's a story that's been handed down in generations and generations.
Yeah.
Black
yeah,
mist.
from me to
And we
Steven.
caught it on camera.
Yeah, it's on camera. I saw it multiple times, but we got it on camera the one time.
Right.
And
So what do you think it is?
I would think it'd be something with the Native Americans of that area. It was the Hohokam
Holcomb, yeah.
Hohokam Nation, and I think it has something to do with that. Because the only place I've ever heard of with this weird black mist that people talk about. And
Whatever it was carried a lot of energy with it to just crater your phone.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I was
it
walking
sucked
down-
all the just turned it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was walking down a road and carrying, a pretty decent flashlight.
A Bushnell, 1500 lumens.
Oh, I love
Could you
those.
move in? I just want
Yep.
to make sure you're in the shot.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Get the cameras.
You're talking about a
As-
serious flashlight.
And walking on a road, I can point it to the left. You can see about 150 feet. Pointed to the right, I can see about 150 feet. Walking down this road, straight dirt road, point it forward now, I can see about 10 feet. and it just stops, and it's like almost a little mist. Now on the DVR camera, that they're sitting there watching, and they're radioing me, what's it in front of you? Because they literally see this black light coming from where it stopped about 10 feet, coming to my flashlight. And we're like, you should probably come back right now.
So any kind of a temperature change or any kind of
it's
humidity
humidity. It wasn't. I mean, this was like literally as I'm walking, it's staying at about that 10-foot spot.
Just
that I
sucking
can
up all
see.
the light.
It's just sucking up the light. But
Wow.
if I turn it to the right or left, I can see really far away.
And this is in Arizona, right?
And this is in Arizona.
Isn't Skinwalker Ranch in Arizona?
No, part of that. So the Skinwalker is in New Mexico, another part's in Nevada.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of like bordered out right there between both of them. I thought it
Yes.
sounds like a bunch of Skinwalker stuff. Really, some weird
There-
stuff going on there.
So Arizona is kind of like this. Well, that part of the country in general is a hotbed for paranormal, from
Right.
UFOs to ghosts to. There's just so much. You have so many former booming ghost towns, mining towns, hospitals like the Jerome Grand Hotel, which was the United Verde Hospital, housed more deaths per square foot than anywhere in America. I mean, you're talking about a place that's just, and between your native cultures, it's just, there's so much energy moving through that area. It's
Yeah.
not even funny.
Yeah, I'm
So-
sure. So where are you at with the whole UFO thing?
She can't say.
Now she's speechless.
I love you, Dave Scott. When Dave Scott watches this, I don't believe in UFOs.
You don't believe in UFOs?
I've seen ghosts. The Bible talks about ghosts. The Bible talks about spirits. I've never seen a UFO. I'm a believer in what I can see. I'm a believer in what I can prove. Until somebody gives me definitive proof, until the Catholic Church says we need a demonologist for UFOs, I can't believe it. I'm like, I'm sorry. No one has ever brought a single piece of evidence to light that says UFOs are real. It's always some third-rate cut video. And especially the videos that are coming out now of people, on social media. Oh, check out this UFO I captured last week. Okay, it's 2020. I can film in 4K with my iPhone. Tell me, why does this still look like it's being produced from 1974?
Yeah, it's all grainy. Like me.
Until you can give me something validating, I
Yeah.
don't believe it.
Have you seen the
Yeah.
stories on Bob Lazar that's been out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think of his story? Seems pretty legit to me,
A lot of people's stories are legit. I mean, I think that's their experience, and we have to accept that, right? Does not make it fact, all right? And I'll give you a great example. So the U.S. Air Force has something called the TR-3B. It is a triangle-shaped aircraft, supersonic aircraft.
Right.
Look it up. Looks just like a UFO.
Yeah.
Their experience to them is valid. I can't discredit that experience. But can I say that I have some scientific, real piece of equipment that looks just like that triangle-shaped thing that they said they saw in the sky? The U.S. Air Force can very quickly say, oh, no, that wasn't us. Because they don't want you to know about that
Right.
piece of equipment.
Yeah. Hopefully we do have it.
Again, until we have something hard, right? We have a museum in the Northeast, the Ed Lorraine Museum, full of haunted items. We have a haunted museum in Las Vegas, right? I won't say his name, but he's got a place full of very haunted items, right? People's stories left and right of the paranormal are very real. We make movies about that stuff from real life experiences. Never once have I seen a air museum with a UFO in it.
Yeah.
I lived next door to an alien, but he was just from Monterey. Doesn't count.
I'm out. I quit.
Damn, I made her quit.
Is he legal?
So let's talk a little bit about your show. So how did y'all get started doing the show? Was it just a natural extension of what you do, or did you just see it that way, or?
So when COVID happened, I already had this paranormal brand, but I was sitting on the couch and I was extremely frustrated with what was third-rate television in terms of paranormal. Again, I won't say their names. My attorneys have told me we can't. But we all know about the shows that we sit down and watch and go, man, this stuff is so fake. I call it the Orb News Network. But I was really wanting to do something fresh and different. And when I took Kim up to the Jerome Grand Hotel, and she was so excited, I sat down and started scratching my head. I said, well, you know, I just got out of the military. I'm struggling to put some things together. I said, guys, why don't we make a TV show? And they just kind of looked at me like I was crazy. And, you know.
Yeah, because you're talking production, you're talking a lot. I mean, it's, to put everything together, it's,
and
kind of expensive.
I had 2 cases of equipment. And 3 cases, I think, something like that. It was nothing crazy. And I said, no, seriously, Kim, look, you've got 25 years in associated marketing. You've worked around marketing for 25 years. Steve, you were an on-air personality. Like, you worked with the news media.
Time. What? Okay, so
Yeah.
we have to go to that.
I worked at Chicago Tribune, operations, putting together newspaper stuff like that. So, and then I had done some on-air personality for when I did some blogging for Bungalow and stuff like that. So
Cool. Chicago Tribune.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good
Did
newspaper,
that for-
huh?
did that for 18 years before, I don't know, when's the last time you bought a newspaper?
Probably the last time I threw one. You know?
Yeah.
1992.
That's a long time ago.
That's kind of why I'm not there.
Yeah. But they're still around. They're just online, right?
Yeah, they do more. They still do print. It's just
Yeah.
yeah. Everyone's like, "Oh, well, why'd you leave?" I'm like, "When's the last time you bought a newspaper?" Yeah. Well, look at the time. I gotta go.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that, but I had to.
You're good.
That's
You're
okay.
good.
so
That's your world.
Yeah, you were talking about the show.
So I said, you guys have, I've got the paranormal background. I learned from Lorraine Warren, and other people, and obviously years of studying. I said, I've got this piece of the puzzle, and you guys have this piece of the puzzle, and light bulb kind of clicked, right? I said, we take this brand and we revamp it into a TV show. And so we kind of looked at the idea, we tossed it around, and I literally had $5. Every time I hire someone now, I hand them a $5 bill and say,
She has more money than we do.
I wish. I had $5 in my pocket to my name at that point in time. That's pretty much all I had. And so now every time
Note to self: start saving money. Okay, go ahead.
When I get up to $5, we got it made.
I think we can make some progress there.
So now anytime I hire someone, I hand them a $5 bill and I say, this is what this brand was started with, $5. It was $5 and an idea.
Okay.
So we went out to the Casa Grande Mountains. That was the first place we ever filmed. And we caught that really compelling evidence. We put it out on the internet and we blew up. We went from a couple hundred people who followed us just as a brand, small whatever idea, to a couple thousand.
And all this shot on cell phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shot it on a cell phone. Yes.
Shot it with 4K and
Yeah.
couple of cell
We shot it.
phones
We shot it actually in 1080p.
Really?
That was
So
it.
when you say compelling evidence, pictures of ghosts and
No, the video of the black mass moving
black
across,
mist.
followed by our camera switching to no signal.
right.
Yeah, and shutting down. That video, I mean, it's very grade A. You can see the black mass in frame.
Yeah. And that's episode 1.
Okay.
And so it blew
Season
up.
1.
It blew up. And
this is in 2020 or 2019?
2020.
No, 2019.
2019.
19.
19.
Yeah.
Okay. So right before COVID, right around the time it started.
Yeah.
Right at the start, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So then we were like, you know what? Screw it. Let's go out to Tombstone. Right? Wild West town.
Right on.
We're going to set up on a street corner and work out the bed of the truck again. We catch grade A with people witnessing it happen. Because people are walking down the street watching us, asking questions about what we're doing. Clearly, we have DVR cameras set up on tripods on the street corner.
Yeah.
We're garnishing some attention. With witnesses standing there, we catch a grade A apparition of a woman walking right down Allen Street.
5 feet behind another
Can't
guy.
make it up.
Yeah.
And
A
so
guy
what
just happened to be walking
Okay, so
by.
was she in period clothing or anything like that, or what was the deal?
Yeah, it looked
Yeah.
like a white. So it's kind of a grade B apparition. You can tell she's wearing a white flowing dress, but you can literally see her move right down the middle of the street, while just like she's walking down the street.
What episode do I look for to find that? I want to see that.
So that's in our second episode ever, season 1, episode 2.
1, episode 2. Got it.
And again, our video quality at that point wasn't really good, right? We didn't know how to build an episode. We're still trying to figure it out, but we had this great piece of evidence for a second time. And we did it without orbs. We did it without all the other BS that all these other shows are putting out there. It was just cold, hard, solid evidence with people standing there.
When you talk about those other shows, I'm thinking of all the
know
things
what?
that have been on network TV. 30 minutes of you don't see shit.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, oh my God, I heard something. And it's all in the dark and everything.
Yep.
And we're going over here. Did you hear that? Oh my God. And they start running. What the hell, man?
Yeah.
You know?
And
You
then we'll,
struggle-
we'll call it real. So if you were walking around and it's like, what was that? That was me hitting this.
Yeah.
All right, that's not anything. All right,
We debunk it.
we'll be the first ones to call something out. And even when we do catch something, we're like, you know what? All right, how can I explain this? That's part of our science
the
background or
science
stuff
has,
like that.
has a hypothesis that
And-
seeks to be disproved.
Yeah, and go, you know what? Oh man, my hand is so cold right now. Well, how cold is it?
Yeah. We
We'll
out
actually pull a thermometer
or a
laser-
thermal imaging camera at this
a
point.
thermal imaging camera, and we'll actually put it on. All right, set your hands together. All right, both your hands should be about the same temperature. All right, your right hand is, in desert heat, it's 82. Other hand, it's at 76. Oh, now it's 74. All right, yeah, it is obviously colder. And we'll actually log that, film that on camera, and point that out to
So-
where.
We've
Oh,
had
sorry.
times where we've had the thermometer pointing at a hand and it got to 66.6.
That's pretty cold.
Yeah, it's-
Yeah,
Well, not
that's
to
way
mention the
colder than room
symbolism of
temperature
that.
normally.
The-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're
numbers.
starting out with cell phones, and I guess
Yeah.
your equipment got better as you went on.
So kind of what happened was we went back and we looked at everything, right? So, one, we realized people really respected the fact that they were standing there experiencing this with us, right? It brings a whole new perspective to the paranormal TV show when you can witness it yourself. And then 2, people were liking the fact that we were bringing this very raw experience, right? Versus this kind of made up 4 ratings experience that many people are used to. And so we decided to keep those pieces. Then we went back to the people that we had retained and we brought this new evidence from Tombstone. And again, we blew up. We got bigger. And before we knew it, we had people reaching out to us who wanted us to come investigate places or wanted to invest in us. So then we started to build a relationship with the Jerome Grand Hotel. They do not allow any paranormal TV shows in that hotel anymore because it always comes with drama. And so over time, we built a relationship with them and they finally gave us the green light to come in. Well, it just so happens the first time we ever went in there, producer from Netflix flies out and she wants to talk to us. She's there for us. So we met with this woman real excited. We thought we were on like the verge of a total Netflix contract.
Sure, yeah.
And then Cuties came out. I don't know if y'all remember the Cuties nightmare.
That's where the little kids were
The little teenage girls
sexualized,
twerking
Yeah.
in stripper outfits. So
Okay, I'm unaware of any of this, but go ahead.
we chose our morals over dollar signs.
Okay.
And I said, well, since you chose to sexualize little girls, you can take your Netflix contract and shove it up your ass.
Language. Now he's gotta
Because
bleep that.
I'm not gonna. I
No,
can't take those dollars
You can
with me.
say
to
whatever
hell.
you want in here, believe
Okay.
me. It's all been said, even by me.
I chose my morals. I sat down and talked to them. As the CEO of the brand, I chose morals over dollar signs.
Okay.
So we walked away from Netflix.
We said
Kudos
we
to your
wouldn't sell
principles.
out.
People caught on to that.
a lot of people have walked away from Netflix. You know,
We
when
blew
it
up
happens.
overnight.
Yeah.
What do I mean? Merch sales, content sales. I mean, our numbers went
25,000.
25,000
Facebook
people
fans.
following us on Facebook overnight.
So
because of that.
where are you at now? I know you're on YouTube.
Our last 90-day analytics, we started off just on Facebook. We are now on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, MeWe, Ello, TikTok, Rumble, Parler, Gab, our website, 3 websites. We have our own mobile app. We also are on Apple TV, Vimeo, Vimeo On Demand, POV Horror, Amazon Fire Stick, Roku. We're everywhere.
Yeah.
We're everywhere.
You had me at MeWe.
Our last 90 days.
That's where I watched Rawhide
Yeah.
and
Never heard of it.
Bewitched.
Our last 90-day analytics. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
9.8 million viewers.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty
we get that on
Oh yeah,
busy weekends.
all the time.
So YouTube is our lowest trending platform. For some reason, we can't seem
Because
to garnish
YouTube is saturated.
any presence on
Because
YouTube.
YouTube's saturated.
Yeah,
That's what
Yeah.
it is. you know.
What
And
it
we've
is,
had a
And
lot
we're
of-
conservative.
And
Forget
YouTube is very, very, very hard to establish a following. It takes a long
It
time.
blows my mind. Right now we're at 11,000 followers on TikTok, 30,000 on Facebook, just the 2 I know off the top of my head, and we're at like 600 on YouTube.
Yeah, it's,
I'm like, are you kidding me?
YouTube's rough.
Are you kidding me?
And-
But-
we have our last 90 analytics, 9.8 million viewers on TV,
But-
and we can't get any of them to subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
good thing is when it takes hold on YouTube, it'll take hold really solid. You just got to
Yeah.
stick with it.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, I really don't care. I don't do this for numbers.
Yeah.
But it is kind of exciting to know that, like, so great example is, so they have a cabin in northern Wisconsin. So for the 4th, we went up to their cabin, and
I'm going to the damn cabin too.
Fun.
I like
But
cabins.
I've never
Managua.
been up there before.
yeah.
We go to this fireworks store, about 20 minutes from their house. I walk in, and the girl behind the desk goes, she's pulling out her phone. She goes, I follow you on TikTok. You guys are Longhorn Paranormal. Middle of nowhere, Wisconsin.
Cool.
These people know who we are.
That's great.
Northwoods.
That's crazy. That's nuts to me. It's such a foreign concept.
I had a guy at the grocery store do the same thing. He walks up and goes, "You're that guy. You're that guy that interviewed Aldo." He knows Aldo. And I said, "Yeah, I am. You want my
Isn't
autograph?"
that so weird?
I said, "You want my autograph?" He goes, "Nah."
I had a dude come up to me in Walmart, and I was wearing a mask, you know. Because I know you. You're the guy that owns that music store. I'm like, no, that's not me. And I pull my mask up. I was like, oh. I get recognized as other people.
It's a weird world when you have to carry around Sharpies in your back pocket and autograph cards because people want it.
That's cool.
That it's a very
I
foreign
think if they
concept
want
to
it
me.
bad enough, they carry their own Sharpie, right? Of course, they don't know they're going to run into you.
Right.
But they should carry
Yeah.
a Sharpie anyway, just in case.
We all
sold
carry
t-shirts
Sharpies now.
To like the guy next to us at the pump next to us at
Yeah.
the gas station.
Yeah.
we've had a guy chase.
We sell merchandise right out of the beds of our cars.
We had a guy chase for his daughter, chase us down for 20 miles till we got off and
Yeah.
stopped for gas,
Yeah.
and followed us
Yeah.
till we got off. And
There is
was
this
like,
girl,
oh,
like 12 years old, big fan of ours. Just so happens we're going down the interstate. Dad's going the other way. His daughter saw us as we were past, freaked out. Dad made an illegal U-turn, followed us back nearly 40 miles to the next exit when we got off.
Were you unholstered by the time he finally drove up on you? Going, what the hell?
Oh no. We're used to it now. But like, you know, she was all excited. So here we are in the gas station parking lot taking photos in front of our truck, you know, and selling her a t-shirt. I mean, it's just it's so
we had
weird.
we had a restaurant empty out of the staff.
Oh yeah, Chili's.
We're in like little
There's
town.
ghosts in here.
So this is a great story. Okay, so we Steve and I went to Chili's. We were out on the road and we were hungry, so we pull into Chili's, and I called ahead, or he called ahead. We placed a to-go order. So I walked in, and they have the mask mandates, and I'm not going to get into the legalities of all the BS, but I'm exempt from wearing a mask. We'll leave that alone. I'm deaf. I don't have to wear a mask. It's in most of the state laws, CDC guidelines. Anyway, so I walk in, the manager just gave me a hard time, and I just kind of had him the piece of paper, and I kept walking. And so I'm getting my order, and as I was leaving, he's kind of being a jerk to me. Well, one of the waitresses recognized me And at that point in time, she stepped in and said, that's Longhorn Paranormal. Do you realize who you're talking to right now? And I'm not one to get behind the fame bubble, but apparently word got around the restaurant, in the middle of a 5 o'clock rush.
Yeah, 5 o'clock
The
dinner rush.
entire wait staff walked out to get autographs, buy merchandise, and take a photo in front of our
And
trailer.
kitchen staff.
And the kitchen staff.
And all the customers are going.
And all the customers are looking out the window trying to figure out what's happening.
My salad.
That's cool. I like it.
It's a weird concept to me that I am clearing out restaurants.
Yeah.
You know?
That's good.
But it's fun. We meet people all over the country. They want to take their pictures with us. We call them our super fans.
Yeah.
It's great.
So y'all do travel a lot, I guess. You're all
Yeah,
over-
I mean,
Yeah.
this year we've been to Wisconsin, Nebraska, Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma,
Colorado.
Kansas, Arkansas, Arizona, Nevada, Colorado. Yeah.
We pulled up in front of the Stanley Hotel.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah,
like,
I've been in the Stanley.
I like-
Stanley's cool.
I want
Where's
to
that?
get my
In
picture
Estes Park.
in
Yeah.
front of the
Yeah.
Stanley
Yeah.
Hotel because The Shining is like.
Yeah.
Right.
They do not allow
My
paranormal. They
favorites.
don't allow paranormal people in there anymore.
Really?
So we made it a point to pull up with our tour. Well, we didn't have our tour.
This is a trailer.
We pulled up with the truck and the trucks in the trailer right in front of their hotel, snapped a photo and tagged them in it and said, "Thanks for letting us investigate."
And then in the photo, if you look closely, people pointed this out to me on Instagram and Facebook. They're like, "Look at the guy in the window. He's
Oh yeah, the guy who photobombed you.
yeah, he photobombed me. He's like in a 3rd-story window, hanging out the window, going like that.
Really? Wow.
It's hysterical.
Cool place.
So
Really
yeah,
nice,
so
yeah.
we took this idea and we've now turned it into nearly $500,000 brand with two. We looked at tour buses. We went with RVs instead, just because a lot of places we go are off the beaten path, and tour buses have a clearance of this. RVs have a clearance of this. We've turned it into tour buses, RV, whatever, multiple trucks, almost $100,000 in equipment, 100 cases of equipment instead of 3, to over 28 very highly specialized cameras. A lot of static devices, thermal imaging, all the paranormal toys, bells and whistles.
So let's talk about a little
sponsors.
bit of your investigation equipment.
Sure.
I mean, what do y'all normally take to an investigation? 100 cases?
Oh yeah,
Much? Really?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So do you have like a device that you like to use that you think works best? You know, because I know a lot of people have REM pods and they have everything else. And so, what do y'all?
my favorite piece of equipment is my K2 meter, but
Okay.
I always say that my ultimate favorite piece of equipment is whatever a spirit is comfortable interacting with, because the rest of the equipment's useless.
And you
if a
think
spirit doesn't wanna
they
interact with
make
it.
decisions on that stuff?
What do you mean?
Like, do spirits make decisions on what they're going to interact with?
I
or do
mean-
you think it's
I mean,
an
yeah.
ability thing? Like, I can only interact with this because I'm
No,
only this
I
strong,
think,
or
I think they pick. I mean, I can lay out 5 K2 meters, all the same device, and we've tried it, and only one of them will activate.
yeah.
Well, they're all right
Okay.
here. Why is that happening?
And then it's
but-
interesting too when you also have multiple teams investigating literally at the same spot. One team can get something in this room, where the next team can walk in that room and get nothing, and then somebody else can walk in and get something completely different than what the first team got in the same room.
Have you
Right.
been in that situation where it's been crowded with different teams?
We have done a couple investigations where we've had other generally in-house, would be called an in-house team, where they normally investigate this spot, and that's kind of what their regular.
Tours.
They do tours. They you know every other week or once a month that they're doing investigations there.
Right.
We'll work with them. We work with some other teams, stuff like that.
Their experiences bring credibility to what we're doing, or discredibility if they sensationalize it. But we don't like go chasing after other teams. But if there is like an in-house team that regularly frequents a location, we will try to involve them.
That's cool. Yeah.
Have you ever gotten yourself in a situation where you thought, I'm in too deep, we're getting a little scared here,
No,
let's back the hell out? No?
no.
All right.
I am the baddest motherfucker in any land I walk into.
Yes, ma'am.
I keep other people up at night.
The Chuck Norris of paranormal, right?
That's right. That's right. Don't forget it.
She's
Chuck
a
Norris.
badass.
Chuck Norris has a bearskin rug. It's not dead. It's just afraid to move.
I have a ghost skin rug.
There you go. Perfect.
All right, so I got a question. So on the, we talked about the apparition of the female that was, where was it again? In Arizona somewhere?
Tombstone.
Tombstone, right. And she was in period clothing, correct?
Uh-huh.
It almost makes me think that as opposed to it being, let's say, a ghost, that it would just be an instance of space-time, a space-time collision.
So what you're referring to is a residual haunting.
You can call it a residual haunting, but I'm not so sure if that's what it would actually be.
Well, that's
And here's the reason why I say this. I had an experience myself where I saw an individual in my house, and this was another house that I lived in, but there were dogs involved and some other stuff that gave me the feeling that it was more of a space-time shift than it was a paranormal experience. Almost like if there's more than one parallel universe, that these two universes just for a moment came together and then split back apart. And in that moment, I was able to see and experience some stuff. Does that make any sense?
What you're referring to is the astral plane? Yes, it's a very real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So most of the hauntings that what you're referring to, where it's events locked in time like that or different planes cross, is referred to as the residual hauntings. There's 4 common types of hauntings, and that's one of them. And so I look at that event in Tombstone as a residual event, where you're seeing a piece of history frozen, quote unquote, in time, replaying itself.
Yeah.
And it's not to say what you're saying doesn't make sense, but I think that it would be extremely difficult for those planes to quote unquote cross. They kind of parallelly, is that a word?
Yeah.
Coexist.
Right.
I've never really heard of them crossing. Now, people like mediums or clairvoyants, they can certainly cross back and forth between. But and maybe spirits can cross back and forth in between, but I don't see a way that those actual physical planes cross, if that makes sense.
Okay. It seems like they almost have to in order for you to be able to experience it, though. If they're on that particular plane and you're on another, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So maybe I'm wrong.
They're coexisting in the same time and space continuum.
Right.
Is what it is.
Yeah, I'm just thinking too hard.
You are.
Just a little bit.
No big deal. There's actual science behind this that explains how it works.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had said earlier that y'all take just worst case scenario cases and
Yes.
so
I don't have any interest.
That's way enough, yeah.
I don't have any interest in the guy who sends me a video of his guitar falling over and saying a ghost did it.
Yeah.
So don't call me next week, Hank.
Trust me, it ain't gonna happen. If anything knocks over my guitar, it'll be me. So.
But the video of the guitar flying across the room and smashing itself on the guy's head.
I want that phone call.
Yeah.
And we've
you'd be
seen stuff like
We've
that.
seen stuff like that.
You'd be surprised how many calls we'll get of people going, you know what, I'm seeing these colors, I'm seeing these figures, I've been up the last 6 days on crystal meth, you got to come investigate this. You know what? It might be the drugs.
Maybe take the meth out of the equation and see how that works for you, right?
It's actually a really good point because so when we do these private client investigations, our client application is 20 pages long, and we ask a lot of questions about the background of the client, but also their physical and mental health. Those are very important pieces to what we do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Very, very important pieces.
So do y'all charge for what you do?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Depends.
It depends on the client. If I have someone that I know is in a situation that they financially can't afford it, I struggle with this concept of charging them, because if I say, I'm sorry, I can't help you, that means the next cardboard box paranormal team down the street will, and they're not necessarily getting quality service. And so I would much rather help them. So how we have supplemented that is we accept donations from people.
Okay.
You can donate to our team. To
LonghornParanormal.com and Patreon.
Yeah. So we accept donations. We have a donate page on our website where people can donate to help offset some of that cost, because it can cost thousands to do a private client.
Yeah.
But then we also have other people who can afford to pay, and we charge them, and we charge them a lot. So
But you're just taking the worst of the worst, yeah.
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 Our standard rate is high. I won't put it out there, but it's high. But you're getting, I always preface it with, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So your standard paranormal team is going to show up with 6 or 8 cases of gear. And people who do this on the weekends for fun, I do this for a living. I have over 100 cases of gear in a very specialized nerve center on wheels. There's nothing happening that I'm going to miss a beat. And I have a team of people, from demonologists to mediums to historians to, I mean, we you get what you pay for. So, again, it's very, we kind of sliding scale based on each particular situation. We look at it differently.
Right.
So.
Okay. That pretty much makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now our television stuff is a different world. But our memberships and stuff for the entertainment piece is a totally different animal. So
I would think so. So do you think in some cases, or maybe even the majority of cases, when people get in situations where they could possibly be possessed or they're dealing with some pretty bad stuff, do they put themselves in that position a lot of times, you find? Or is it just something happenstance? You know,
Very good question.
and then are these demons attached to property? Or are they attached to homes? Are they attached to items? I mean, how does
all
that?
3.
So you're asking like
Yeah, but, I mean, but I'm just saying, as a general rule, you'd almost think that there would be a case where you'd say, okay, well, 90% of the time these people are conjuring up this shit.
No.
Playing Ouija boards and all that kind of stuff. You know.
So you're kind of crossing into like 10 different worlds. So I'll start with the first question. So
She just told me I needed to slow down.
so you did, in a nice kind of way.
And we're like, yes, and yes, and she's going to explain why.
Welcome back to Jennifer's Think Tank.
Way to go, Hank. All right, so all right, let me back up. Let me start with Ouija boards.
Okay.
Let me say this as clear as I possibly can. Hasbro sells a Ouija board. Hasbro sells a Ouija board. I went on there and left a 0-star review. Do not, under any circumstances, ever, period, zero, zilch, use a Ouija board. Ever. If you have an inkling to use a Ouija board, go read the 1970s psychiatric manuals where clinical psychiatrists were doing studies on patients who went clinically insane after using Ouija boards. Not a joke. Not something to play with. What you were doing is opening, basically, you remember the game Frogger?
Yeah, I think so.
Remember how you had to hop with the frog across the highway with the cars? They went,
yeah.
right?
I never made it.
You are opening up a super highway into the paranormal by messing with a Ouija board, and you never know what the cross traffic is or what you're going to interact with, and what it may look like on the surface may not be what it is actually. You are basically playing Russian roulette with the paranormal. Okay?
Yeah, you might be opening up a portal,
Yep.
and then you decide, oh, we're just going to throw this away or burn
Yep.
it.
Yep.
And that's
And
not
you never
the right
you
thing
never
to
know
do
what's
with it.
coming through.
What about the 8 balls? 8 ball? Do I need to start another job?
That's a different animal.
I never trusted that freaking.
You're
8 ball.
you're not
More shall
trying.
be revealed later.
You're not trying to communicate with the other side, right? A Ouija board is a very different animal from an 8 ball, right? An 8 ball is, okay, am I going to get lucky tonight? You know, right?
The answer's definitely no.
No, you're playing with an 8 ball.
That triangle says no, and every time you turn it, no matter what, it's always
Versus a Ouija board, right? You're looking for a interaction and a contact with a world you cannot see, right? Very, very different thing. Okay,
Yeah.
And so I always warn people, if you're going to play with one, think twice.
Do some reading, follow
I do not.
instructions.
I will
work with a
not
team.
ever, under any circumstances, use a Ouija board. It will not happen.
Yeah.
With that said, as for the demonic piece, okay. Do people manifest their own hauntings? Yes.
Really?
All right. Absolutely. So, how does that happen? You move into a new home and you go, man, this place just seems haunted. And you keep walking around, and then maybe, you're in the living room one night with your wife and you're watching TV and you hear a pan fall down in the kitchen. And you automatically arouse the suspicion. You walk into the kitchen and, dude, I'm really starting to wonder. Over time, you can self-manifest a haunting.
You're selling it to yourself.
You're selling it to yourself. You're opening up the door to the paranormal. And people have created a self-manifested haunting. And then you bring in a team and we go, there's nothing haunted here.
It's you.
It's you. And they just go, no. No, trust me. There's nothing haunted here.
I got this
It's
orb in a
you.
photo, see?
Yeah, okay. So there is definitely a thing called self-manifested hauntings, okay? As for the next piece, when it comes to demonic hauntings, are the vast majority of those cases self-manifested? No. Great examples of this are the Amityville Horror, right? Is a great example. It was based on historical findings of Native American land, right? The Amityville house, they were actually keeping slaves and prisoners in the boathouse, right? So we know that land had already ties to ritualistic stuff, Native American stuff, very dark, evil, bad shit, for lack of a better term. When the Perrin family moved in, they didn't know this. They weren't expecting that. It just kind of came with the territory.
They should have known straight up by just the looks of that house. Did you see it? I mean, if I'd looked at that house, I said, nope, ain't buying that one.
Same with the Conjuring house, right?
Yeah.
Demons will attach themselves to places, people, and things. All right? The Annabelle doll is a great example, right? So the original paranormal research team that came in to deal with the Annabelle doll said, oh, it was just some girl. Some girl that died here on the property has attached herself. No, it was a demon. They screwed up. They missed the boat. Okay? All right? So demons absolutely will. They will attach themselves to people, places, and things. And once they attach themselves to people, all bets are off. Game over. All right? You're either going to end up with a partial possession, needing to be cleansed or to be exorcised. These are all very realistic things that happen. And so we always tell people that your demonic hauntings, they start off very slow. The whole point of a demonic haunting is to break down the will of the individual. Okay? Literally.
Yeah, just picking at you.
It's slow. It's just peck until you snap.
Yeah.
All right? And slowly and surely, they draw on you and they get stronger, right? They're breaking your will. And then when that opportunity arises, you're at your weakest point, boom, possession happens. Partial possession happens, right? That's how these things occur.
That's what my ex-wife did. That's how she did it to me. That was
Quick, Steve, go to the truck and cross. You might want to step outside. But yeah, so yes, there are definitely hauntings in general beyond demonic hauntings that are associated with attachments to items. We actually dealt with a case last year with a guy from Mexico who was dealing with an attachment to a photo. There are some famous stories about World War II photos and soldiers attaching themselves to photos of themselves. These kinds of things have happened.
Yeah.
And then you can get into the world of reincarnation. All right. There's a great show on TV called The Ghost Inside My Child. And this is about kids who...
Yeah, I've seen some of those. It's trippy.
Yeah.
You know?
You
Yeah.
can't explain that.
Right.
Right? These kids at 3-4 years old that can tell you intimate details. I flew a Corsair in World War II off the Natoma. What?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I had the
They didn't say,
feather the
Daddy, I
flaps
flew
on the
a
way
plane
down.
off a boat. They said a Corsair off the Natoma.
Yeah. So you believe in reincarnation?
I struggle because I do this for a living. I struggle with religion because the Bible says reincarnation's not a thing. But then how are these kids having these experiences? You
Right.
can't explain that.
My concern is that reincarnation is a thing, but you keep getting reincarnated over and over and over again.
My problem
And
with
now
reincarnation.
let me really mess with your head.
I don't want to.
This is my favorite part of this conversation. What do they say happens when you die?
You go to heaven or hell, either one
No,
of
no, no.
those.
Even more fundamentally. What do people always say they see when they die?
A light at the end of the tunnel.
What happens when you're born?
It gets
I'll wait.
lighter.
No. Where do you come from? Anatomically, where do you come from?
The womb.
So as you come out of the womb, what happens?
It gets
It gets
lighter.
really
You
bright.
see light for the first time, right?
And then they
What
hit
if
you.
reincarnation is real? What if that light you are seeing is your rebirth?
Oh, jeez, I hope not.
So,
Everybody
yeah.
that says they've done reincarnation studies and they've done different things with different people, every one of those people, they were a prince over here.
Mm-hmm.
They were a knight over here.
Mhm.
They were a king over here. There wasn't nobody shoveling shit who was reincarnated.
You might want to go watch that show I was telling you about.
Okay.
Here we have a low-life soldier flying a plane off a Corsair.
Well, I hung out with a guy that was a nuclear physicist, and he had a lot of great ideas about stuff. And we had a long talk one time about reincarnation. And he believed that you get reincarnated because you have to live all of life's experiences. So you come as a male, you come as a female, you come as a short guy, you come as a tall guy, you come as a fat dude, you come as a skinny dude, you come as a murderer, you come as somebody who gets murdered, literally everything. And so you have to live all those
Hopefully
lives.
not the same life.
Hopefully not.
And you know what? So that brings up a great point. How do we fundamentally as a society, if that's truly the case, how do you punish somebody for murdering somebody?
Right.
Great question, right?
Yeah.
If that's the life, because I've heard similar theories that before you're born, you pick the life, you look at all these lives and you pick one that you're going to live out. I've heard that theory,
Yeah.
right? How do we hold somebody responsible for that? If that's literally supposed to be their purpose.
How do you learn and grow if you don't remember the past life? I don't remember any past lives.
Because your
How did I-
soul remembers it. You don't remember it, not physically. Because you got to remember you're bound in this physicality
So
that's limited.
the great reset, when I pass away, I'll be going, okay, here's all these notes.
Then
and
all of a
everything.
sudden everything will come to you.
Yeah.
you know,
My
oh.
biggest fear is coming back in the next life as a liberal.
Oh God! Can you imagine? No sense of reality whatsoever. whatever works, that's out the window. I just want to know what feels good. Sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I couldn't pass that one up.
That's okay. So yeah, I mean, I've just thought a lot about all this kind of stuff, and I just think it's interesting that there's never been any physical evidence. At least I've never seen any physical evidence of a spirit. Like nobody's ever brought one in a box. Said, "Hey, I got one." You know. So it's hard to not be skeptical when no one has ever caught anything physical.
Well, let's get back into those planes
Yeah.
where things cross over. And I'm a firm believer in right now and soon to come, there's going to be more of that crossover. And I think that's why we're seeing more demonic activity and cases coming out right now, because these realms are crossing and these portals.
And why do you
are
think they
opening
are?
up. I just think it's a timing thing. Like it's
Really?
the
Because
stars
Jordan
align.
Peterson believes that it's a population thing. He says that when we hit 9 billion people, we will drastically decline really quick.
Well, that's what COVID's for.
Yeah. COVID did a shitty job at it then, you know?
Might
Yeah.
want to go read the Georgia Guidestones.
Yeah. So then you have to talk to the vaccinated people.
That was just a practice run. Seeing who's going to mind and who won't.
So,
We are definitely a woke brand over here.
Yeah.
so,
yeah,
so
definitely.
you think that all of the paranormal stuff is really on the rise?
It has
Yeah.
been lately.
Yes, yes.
yeah.
We've had more malevolent and demonic calls this year than we've ever had. Ever.
Well, do you think it's because of an educated population? And I use the word educated loosely because, all the stuff that's on TV, all the stuff that's on the internet, everywhere else,
think-
people are more aware than they used to
No.
be.
I think it has to deal with the government's references to 666 and satanic stuff and the Tower of Baal that was put up in D.C. this year. Baal is a demon. I mean, why would our government put up a tower honoring a demon in D.C.? if y'all didn't know about that, you might want to look it up.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
I missed that one.
There's been a lot of reference. I mean, certainly we're opening doors and portals into places we shouldn't more and more and more. If you have any amount of Christianity in your body, you might want to pay attention because, the Pope just announced a one world religion. So, hey, what do I know? I think that we are opening up doors to the places we shouldn't be, and that's allowing more and more to come through. That is creating more and more problems for people like me, more and more sleepless nights.
Yeah.
And physically, the world, think of how many wildfires. Think of all the volcanic activity over the Canary Islands. I mean,
there's a lot of stuff going on, yeah.
There's
sure.
definitely
And
no
a lot of
question
it's-
evil's on the rise.
Like, it's hell on earth.
Mm-hmm.
What a better place for demons to hang out and use those as portals.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
I'm just
Yeah.
disappointed that I haven't met little Nicky yet.
Little Nicky?
You don't remember that movie
Sounds familiar.
with Adam Sandler, Little Nicky?
There's a lot of references to
It's
movies,
really
and,
funny.
and none of them I've seen. So, I haven't seen that one either.
Little Nicky is a movie where he's an awkward son of the devil, and he comes back to save hell. It's a great movie. You got to see it. It's
very
hilarious.
funny.
Got
I'll
Adam
watch it
Sandler,
again.
comedian Adam Sandler.
Right.
It's a great movie. Fantastic.
I'll have to check that one out because I sure ain't seen
It's
it.
worth the
Yeah,
$2.99 on
yeah.
Amazon.
Okay, cool.
Definitely.
So, what's in the future for Longhorn Paranormal?
So a lot of people don't know this right now, but we're actually here because I'm on a medical leave. We are halfway through filming season 2 right now, but I have 2 tumors in my neck that I have to get treated. But with COVID, it's been a nightmare.
Are these malignant tumors?
We
or
don't know.
yet.
don't know yet.
We don't
Okay.
know. I am struggling to get into the hospital to access the healthcare that I need because COVID is more important than my tumor. So,
And her rights.
once we deal with that, then we're going to be filming hopefully Yorktown Memorial Hospital while we're out this way, finishing hopefully New Orleans, and then we're looking at some places in Missouri, as well as Kentucky and Nevada. And then we have a fan event to go back and reschedule that we had to cancel in Arizona.
We've got a small fan thing to do in Oklahoma.
Yeah, and then we have a fan, a really really great kid. Shout out Teague,
Teague!
special needs guy
Okay.
in Oklahoma City. That we're gonna drive out and surprise him, kidnap him from his house, and take him ghost hunting.
He's never gone ghost hunting.
Yeah,
So we told him
So-
we're gonna pick a night where he doesn't know.
and
Right.
show up at his house and kidnap him in his wheelchair and
He'll
take him
love
ghost
it.
hunting.
And we're
Yeah.
gonna take him to a cemetery
Yeah.
and do
That's
a ghost
great.
hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So we are definitely a fan-oriented brand. We really like to put our fans first. They're family to us, and so we try to find these very unique experiences for all of them. We find a way to connect with each of them personally.
Yeah.
So Teague is one that has definitely gotten close to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
So
And so on the show end, you said there were 20-something people working or something like that. I don't remember how many
yeah,
it was,
so we have
so
our,
you'll have a pretty good production team, I guess.
No, it's me and Jen.
we're the producers.
Really?
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So him and I are the producers. We've taken a lot of classes. We've learned a lot. We've watched a lot of videos on how to do production. And as you've seen as you watch our episodes, you'll see the quality improve. But we have our communications director Jamie, who's actually interpreting for me right now. We have Anna Grubb, who's our
Hey,
veterans-
Jamie.
She says hi.
Okay.
Then we have Anna Grubb, who is our veterans coordinator. Then we have what are you doing?
She wants to see this on the camera.
Oh.
So here's Jamie.
Hi.
Hi, Jamie.
And then we have Anna Grubb, who's our veterans director. We've got Wendy Harris, who is our sponsorship finder. And then we hired a new girl today who's going to be a medium. for us. We replaced our medium. And then we have Frank Colburn, who is the 4th owner of the brand, and he's our sound guy. We've got two brothers from India. One's currently in Germany, one's in India, that do audio music composure for us. We have our sponsors at Pro Vinyl, hashtag Pro Vinyl, sponsor at Speed Tech Lights. So they Pro Vinyl takes care of our trucks for us, wraps them. So like this truck we have outside is temporarily wrapped. We have a full total wrap coming for that. And then Speed Tech Lights does lighting for us, our outdoor off-road fly lighting for nighttime filming. And so they maintain our trucks. And then we have 2 more guys out of Croatia. And then we have another gentleman in Czechoslovakia who does audio for us as well, sounds. And then we have Mandy, who's an intern. We got a ton of people who work for us.
Cool.
All over.
Yeah, all over the world. People all over the world work for this brand.
Cool.
So
y'all are just going to continue, huh? Continue helping people out and moving forward.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
that's
my favorite
great.
part, the fan stuff. When we
Yeah.
do fan events and they buy tickets, which helps finance stuff for us because we have to pay for the venues.
Yeah.
And so you're all 3 full time, right? You don't do anything
Yeah.
else.
Yes.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our 2 RVs are actually parked out in Katy right now.
Yeah.
So I actually lived in Conroe, but earlier this year I got rid of my place. So it was kind of pointless for me to pay for it when I'm never home.
Yeah.
So,
I got you.
yeah.
All right. So, Mark, you got anything else?
I don't have anything else. Thank you so much for coming by. I learned a lot.
Thank
You're
you
so
so much.
welcome.
Yeah,
Thanks
we had a
for
good
having
time.
us.
So
Yeah,
great
and
being out here.
I know that you guys brought some audio or video. Is it
Yes.
both?
Yes.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to take a couple of these clips and insert them in. We'll put them at the end of the show, and you can check it out. So if somebody needs to get in touch with Longhorn, what do they do? They make a phone call. They get online. What do they do?
So if you go to longhornparanormal.com, at the top right, there's an FAQ button. You hit that and you hit how can you contact Longhorn Paranormal. You can send us an email. You can reach out to us on social media. Everything goes directly to us. We don't have a social media team. We refuse to have one. We want to talk to our fans directly. So you are actually talking to one of us when you are on social media. Also, you go to lpri.info if you're looking to be a private client. Hit our private client tab and submit a form to contact us, and we'll get back to you within 48 hours.
Fantastic. All right, guys. Well, there you have it. So, we got in here. We introduced these folks. I think they're great. And we're going to see a whole lot of them. And I'll be watching all your shows. And I'm also going to buy your book and read it. I want to check that out, too.
It's an
So,
emotional investment.
Sounds good to me. I like to read. So, yeah, I read more than I watch TV.
I'll tell you what, you buy my book, and once I get a hard copy, I'll give you a hard copy.
As long as it's got a signature in it, I'm good with that. With that Sharpie you got in your back pocket.
That's right.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right. So for Mark Hogan, I'm Hank Vatt, and we'll be out.
So when we were here last time, we set up on the corner right here. Right behind our cameraman is where we set up our investigation. And we set up our cameras right here. And what we witnessed was a white mass move across in front of our cameras here. And you'll see a gentleman, he walks across the screen. And then right where I'm standing, right here, we see this white mass move down the road. And it's in line with the carriages and the route that people would take back when this town was up in its heyday. And so we wanted to come over here tonight and take a look at this spot again and also show you guys the footage of what we saw. And we'd love to get your opinion. Is it paranormal? Is it a hoax?